Last week, Bernie Sanders gave a speech at George Washington University. At that speech, he gave his spiel about, are you really free? And this is going to be a core issue to understand what we Americans define as freedom. Let me play what Bernie Sanders had to say, what he said freedom is. Here you go.
What I believe is that the American people deserve freedom, true freedom. Freedom is an often used word, but it is time that we took a hard look at what that word actually means. Ask yourself, what does it really mean to be free? Are you truly free if you are unable to go to a doctor when you are sick, or face financial bankruptcy when you leave the hospital? Are you truly free if you cannot afford the prescription drugs you need in order to stay alive? Are you truly free when you spend half of your limited income on housing and are forced to borrow money from a payday lender at 200% interest rates? Are you truly free if you are 70 years old and forced to work because you lack a pension or enough money to retire? Are you truly free if you are unable to go to a college or a trade school because your family lacks the income? Are you truly free if you are forced to work 60 or 80 hours a week because you cannot find a job that pays you a living wage? Are you truly free if you are a mother with a newborn baby, but you are forced to go back to work immediately after the birth of that child because you lack paid family leave? Are you truly free if you are a small business owner or a family farmer who is driven out of business by the monopolistic practices of big business? Are you truly free if you are a veteran who has put his or her life on the line to defend this country and tonight will be sleeping out on the streets? To me, the answer to those questions in the wealthiest nation on earth is no. Under those conditions, you are not truly free.
Folks, this might be the single most important political speech given by a leftist in this country ever. It is vitally important to understand what Bernie Sanders is saying and what he's offering to you as a solution. It is vital to understand. Bernie Sanders is not saying, hey, I'm a multi-trillionaire, let me pay for you to have all of the things he just listed. Let me, Bernie Sanders, pay out of my own money the paid leave for every woman who wants to stay home with her child, and all of the litany of things he listed. Bernie Sanders is not offering his own money. He is offering to steal other people's money through a totalitarian style economic system that reorganizes wealth, takes away money from people who work to earn it, to give away to people according to what he says are the most important things to be handed out. He is selling his socialism. He is selling his free things. He is selling his campaign on the idea that you are entitled to have handed to you everything you need. That's what he's saying freedom is. Freedom, in his definition, is somehow you are a helpless individual. The country's filled with helpless individuals who all must sit back and wait for the government to give you everything you need, and that constitutes freedom. He is calling communism freedom. You have to start to get that. He's calling socialism freedom. When he says everything he just listed, and probably everything else you can ever think of you'd ever need, you're entitled to be given that. He's telling you that communism is freedom. He's telling you socialism is freedom. He's telling you he has no faith in your ability as an individual to find your path, your way forward, work hard, earn money, have a job, earn money, create a life for yourself, buy the things you need for yourself. No, he has a government-controlled economy as he's equating that with freedom. Folks, this is insanity. Insanity in light of what we're watching in the world, in Venezuela, in Hong Kong for that matter, and in China. This is a guy telling you that socialism, which has never thrived anywhere it's tried, is somehow going to thrive because he's the smartest guy around, and if you just give him all the power, he will steal through confiscatory tax measures enough money from everybody else to give you what you deserve, as defined by him, what you deserve, and that is, in his worldview, freedom. There were two great quotes I'll close the show with today. We're going to dissect this Bernie Sanders speech a lot more in this show because this sadly is alluring to ignorant young people who didn't study Economics 101 and don't really understand freedom. Bernie Sanders is stirring up in the minds of those students the expectation you deserve to have the government give you everything that you need. And the government, may I remind you, has no money. The government never has any money. It doesn't earn money. It doesn't make money. Government only has the money it takes from other people through taxes. So he's promising you other people's money. And that constitutes, in his worldview, freedom. It is upside down, backwards, crazy, but it is vital that all of us who love freedom and love this country start speaking up and exposing what Bernie Sanders is saying, is selling you, is not freedom, it is tyranny. Last quote before we wrap up our show. There was a writing by a great book, The Road to Serfdom. If you haven't read it, you should, by F.A. Hayek. And he talked about two quotes I want to read to you. Democratic socialism, the great utopia of the last few generations, is not only unachievable, but that to strive for it produces something utterly different. To strive for democratic socialism produces something utterly different, the very destruction of freedom itself. As has been aptly said, what has always made the state a hell on earth has been precisely that man has tried to make it this heaven. And Hayek goes on, a further point should be made here. Collectivism means the end of truth. To make a totalitarian system function efficiently, it's not enough that everybody should be forced to work for the ends selected by those in control. It is essential that the people should come to regard the ends that those in control set up, like Bernie Sanders wants to be, decide as their own. This is brought about by propaganda and by complete control of all sources of information. Point being, when the propagandists, the leftists like Bernie Sanders, telling you what you should get for free, they have to use propaganda to make everybody who is going to have to submit to this collectivist, send in your money, work as hard as you can, but have nothing to show for it. That system, people send their money in because propaganda convinces them that this is indeed what they really want, what's really fair. I'm going to come back to Bernie Sanders a bunch more times, but I'll close by saying on him, he did back in the 1970s, by the way, absolutely advocate for socializing all industries in America.